It appears you've come on one of the Master's special nights. Hey, John, how we doing? And John and
We're good.
Jim.
All is well.
So,
I
Mr.
mean,
Frater, we're going to
riffraff
play our.
moments aside,
What was
Okay,
that? Wait, what?
nothing. It's all good.
I
We're going
think
to
that's
play
going
our
to be
favorite game.
Sure.
So,
What do you got?
one of these people
Whatever it
is
is,
the
I'm sure it's
father.
John's.
Wait a second. One of these people is the father of the daughter who's doing a lot of photography at StokerCon, whose father worked with Leonard Nimoy, and the other person can count to 12. Which one's which?
Well, I know Jim can count to 12 because I've heard him do it. Um, I don't know. I'm coin toss. I guess I'm going to say that Jim can both count to 12 and has the photographic daughter.
That leaves
I,
nothing for John Collins, huh?
my daughter's an
I don't know.
accountant, so
Well, I can count to 12, but John was lucky to catch me with my shoes off.
Fair
Yep.
enough. One of these
guys,
dudes,
Tell him the
I'm
truth.
not going to say who because you have to deal with this. One of these dudes was born with 6 fingers on both ends.
Yep.
that was me.
Yeah.
Sissy John can only count to 11.
Yes.
No, only 10 now. The 2 were removed. They were removed when I was an infant, and I had nubs until I was like 14 when they got removed. But I still have the scars. They're still sensitive.
Same surgery I had for the tentacles, but we don't talk about that.
You told me you just ate the tentacles off.
No,
You're lying
they're
then or are you
still
lying now?
around here somewhere.
You sure the tentacles didn't drop off and wriggle away on a trail of their own?
Yeah, but I tied them to bricks. They kind of stay, but yeah. So, when you guys aren't being writers, what are you doing? What do you guys do for fun?
I've been going to a lot. Well, I've been going to concerts my entire life, so I try to get as much live music in as possible. It's slowing down as I've gotten older, but I have a good lineup for this summer and into the fall.
So the number of concerts is slowing down, or the music is slowing down?
Number of concerts. It does get pricey, so
yeah,
you kind of have to pick and choose a little bit.
What kind of music gets you excited?
Right now, Norwegian death metal.
Oh, I like that. What about you, James? What's the soundtrack in your life?
Oh, a little bit of everything. I had been gotten back to going to concerts over the last couple of years, but I don't have any lined up for this year. Unfortunately, I've got to see if I can get tickets for something good this summer. But I am not going to see Norwegian death metal. John goes to see bands with names that belong in the table of contents of a horror anthology.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
No, it's a good thing.
If I invite you, you'll go. Come on. If I invite you, you'll go.
I have my limits.
He'll bring his earplugs. He'll be very, very polite about the whole thing.
Oh, I bring the earplugs. I have to.
Yeah.
John, if you haven't heard about them yet, check out a Mongolian folk metal band called Otoken.
Ooh,
okay. I've heard of them.
Their stuff is insane and it's awesome.
I will check that out.
Cool.
Yeah.
Check that out. I'm seeing Obituary in 2 weeks. I'm very happy.
All right, good.
See, that's like third story in the book, Obituary.
Yeah, I think we're seeing David Byrne in Forest Hills in September. That's about it.
I want to go see Sarah McLachlan in Forest Hills. I've never been there. So
yeah.
What happens.
Yeah, I got to see Roger Daltrey there a couple years ago. And it was really funny because at the end of the concert, he says, "We need to clear the place out. So here's something from the new album."
That's funny. Well, Forest Hills over the last couple of years has become my go-to place to go to concerts. I've gone to a bunch of concerts there, and it's just, if the weather's nice, it's amazing. It's outdoors for people who may not know it. They have a great courtyard where you can get drinks and food and stuff. I think the last show I caught there was Big Thief last fall. I went to see Big Thief, and that was pretty amazing.
For folks who may not know, I basically grew up in Forest Hills, and so the U.S. Open, the tennis matches used to be there before they built the big stadium in Flushing. And my mother's a huge tennis freak, so whenever the players would be there, we'd be going, we'd be listening to the games, and we'd be messing around in the parking area where the big network trailers where all the equipment were, and just to see how everything worked and see if we can actually start a conversation with someone, because some of these guys they're happy to talk about their work but not while they're actually working. So
Yeah.
so concerts there has been a part of my life since I was like 10.
Nice.
And apparently that video stuff too, because here you are.
Indeed.
You
It's
know?
much simpler now.
It is a completely different animal. I was
Really
just in that
is.
conversation. Somebody was like, but you know, AI is going to win eventually. And I was like, if we called cars horses, we could say we're still riding horses. But the thing it's going to win is not what they're calling AI today. And it's going to
Yeah.
be completely different. And I'm still not sure it's going to win. But other than that, bang on.
I don't think it's a matter of the AI winning. I think it's a matter of the humans losing at their own game.
This is unfortunately an excellent point, and that's why when the world's on fire, we all make art.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So we got John Collins' answer. James, we still haven't found out what you do with your downtime. Is there any downtime? I mean, you're a stoker daddy and top all the writing and everything else, you know.
Right. I was going to say, does it count as downtime if I'm organizing writing conventions and Horror Writers Association chapter events and stuff? Yeah. What do I do in my downtime? I guess, aside from spend time with my family and my dogs, I like to read, of course, which is not really getting very far from the writing activities. But no, I also in the good weather, I like to kayak. So I'm going to try and get out and do that a bunch this summer. And I'm a big comic book nerd. I collect comics, so I'll spend a weekend day haunting old comic book shops or secondhand shops looking for comics from a bygone age.
Very, very cool. I had a friend who invited me out kayaking recently, and I was like, you do know I'm an indoor flower. So we actually ended up going to Rocky Horror at Studio 54 instead. I stand by my decision. I think it was a really good one.
Well, was that the event you dressed up as Riff Raff for?
Yes.
You
I
make
will
those,
do
really?
that on a random Tuesday also, mind you, but yes.
Well, I wasn't sure. Maybe you were in the production. I just didn't know. And you make such a good
no.
Riff Raff, Charles.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was great when it all began, but you know.
Yeah, I also going to do a bunch of road trips this summer, some weekend trips and stuff like that.
Ooh, where you going?
One thing we're definitely doing, we're going whale watching off Cape Cod in August, which
Very cool.
I'm really excited to do that. But there's some places in Connecticut I like. There's a place, Jim, you and I should do this one day. Go up to the archive in Bridgehampton. It's a fantastic video store. You'll be in your glory.
Okay, I don't know it. Yeah, I'll check it out. That'd be an easy trip. We could just take the ferry.
Yeah, you'll be in your glory. You'll just fall on your knees like, oh, I'm finally here. It's wonderful. But
all right, I'm in.
Yeah, we'll work that out. But other than that, we don't talk about work. That's almost done, thank God. But other than that, and reading, I do a lot, ton of stuff. My TBR is over here, and it's massive.
It's a load bearing TBR.
If it fell right now, I would disappear.
Yeah.
Which makes you pretty much like every other writer I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my TBR is in the other room, but take my word for it, that thing is a Greco-Roman column that's holding up my roof.
That's why mine is split between multiple rooms, because that way it can't gang up on me yet.
I didn't know pressboard could creak.
Well, here's my question. So I, in the interest of not creating more risky piles of physical books, I've started buying ebooks too. And I feel like I just buy ebooks with less or with more abandon than physical books because I don't know that it's accumulating. Does anyone else
Yep.
have that problem? You open your Kindle or your reader and you're like, holy
Yeah.
crap, we bought all these since
When
know,
e-readers first
yeah.
start out, there was a little video that was going around the internet of this woman who finishes reading something on the ebook and puts it up on the shelf with every other e-reader device that she's got, one for each book.
That's great.
That gets expensive.
I buy ebooks when I don't know the author. You know, if I want to try them out for the first time, it's a cheaper way of checking them out. But yeah, my Kindle is it's bulging at the moment as well.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for sales on multiple book sets. So if I've heard of the author or I know someone who knows the author, and they're offering 7 books in a set for $1, I don't care anymore. I'm just gonna hit that button.
I hear you.
So, Mr. Collins, you were talking about whale watching. That's what a whale sounds like. Somebody you know you can just keep reeling in over and over and over again with your book.
It's the only whale I'm going to be. I can't be a financial gambling whale. That's for damn sure.
And my brain just went to, wow, thank God that you don't gamble for books in Vegas. I'm not a gambler. I've walked through casinos with absolutely no urge to play blackjack or roulette or anything. But if it was books I could win, oh dear.
Baby needs a new pair of books.
You're going to the wrong casinos, that's all.
I'll see you at Ghost Story and raise you a pet cemetery. I'm all in.
Come on, baby Papa needs a new edition of The Shining.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm going to play a tiny little video that this guy Jim Chambers sent me. We'll see how that goes.
Ooh. I know that place.
Yes.
You mean that place?
Yeah.
Yes, St. John Land Hospital.
I know it.
I laughed when Jennifer at Rhode Ice Cream and Press sent me those badges, and everybody else was a visitor. I got put on staff. Yeah. And I should give a shout out to John Edward Lawson, who composed the music that you heard in the video.
Oh, absolutely.
Very nice.
So, given that we just saw the video for Abandoned Asylum, and very subtly James has got it behind him, let's let John Collins read something to us.
Okay. I'll be reading from my new collection, Altars and Abandoned Houses, which is backwards on the screen, but that's okay. I'm going to be reading a bit from the story called The Mortar That Binds Us is Despair. All right. The sunlight broke through the lush, thick overhead shade that provided by the thicket of trees. Individual beams of glimmering radiance chased away the shadows of the underbrush, making the dark woodland appear dreamlike in its rich greens and earthy browns. Above the tree line, the air was warm, only a few degrees beneath unbearable, as the summer had yet to reach the mark of dog days. Underneath the green shelter, pockets of humidity kept the air cool despite the slight stickiness of damp skin clinging to t-shirts. Traveling through the brush had its own set of challenges. Looking directly ahead provided to be difficult as the trail twisted and turned like a dried riverbed. To leave the footpath was not recommended, as the thick brush made walking tiresome. Clusters of exposed roots and tangles of low-lying vines lie in wait to ensnare ankles of anyone foolish enough to trapeze through, slowing their progress to a near crawl. The building came into view in pieces. At one point, the front porch, complete with the stained oak doorway, was in plain sight, only to be hidden 20 feet later from view with the gable of the second floor roof now visible. The three of them traveled in a single file in silence. The dirty talk between Sasha and Patrick was put on mute when when they realized the concentration needed to walk the path. Bobby was happy about it. He couldn't understand how Ricky could stand them. They really were not bad company, if he was being honest. But they had grown tired of the hushed giggles and the playful sounds of slapping flesh, as it seemed to be the soundtrack of their shared existence. A final turn in the hospital came into view. They slowed their pace to a cautious crawl, as if the house were a sleeping snake lying in the center of a footpath. The face of the building stared down at them. It was a big box-like structure with a few touches that Bobby was sure was an attempt to give the bland building some warmth. Busted windows were framed by the off-white shutters, each wearing the stains of being exposed to the elements, but in otherwise surprisingly good shape. A wraparound porch started at the front door and stretched around the eastern side of the building. The second floor balcony looked less stable. The section that collapsed in front of the first floor picture window. Spikes of splintered wood hung dangling like the buck teeth of a rat, blocking any access inside and around the rest of the porch. The remains of a campfire sat 50 feet in front of the front steps. A few squat logs sat around the pile of burnt wood, perfect for sitting around the fire. Well, we're here, Sasha said in a matter-of-fact tone. There was no inflection, no relief that they had reached their destination. A simple bluntness hung in her words and attitude. Now what? We go inside and check it out, Bobby replied, trying hard to keep the annoyance out of his voice. The cops didn't find anything, Patrick said, slapping at a mosquito on his neck. They think Rick went off. Yeah, and a dozen people said they went inside and never came out. Bobby failed to keep the heat from his voice. The anger boiled within them, something that had been commonplace over the last few weeks. I'll take the word of those 12 over them lazy cops any day. Patrick asked, what do you know about this place? Only the stories that everyone else has heard, that people have gone inside and some have never come out, that sort of thing. 19 people, well, 20 now. Bobby felt his neck tingle with annoyance. The only thing that seemed to be proven is that this used to be a hospital, a children's hospital and orphanage, closed after World War II, and it went bankrupt and has been empty ever since. Sasha asked, do you know about the God that lives inside? Bobby turned to face them, trying to tell himself that he had misheard her, knowing that he had not. She smiled at him, a grin that said she was enjoying herself. The most common story is that a God lives inside. God? He knew there was a look of disbelief on his face, but he could care less. He was done playing these stupid little games with these two. No, dumbass, not the God, just a God, she said, not bothering to hide her annoyance. A God for the unwanted. The first ones to disappear inside were a single mother and her 2 children, Patrick said, staring at the building. The way the story goes, her husband died in combat in Europe, and her family became destitute and were kicked out of their home. After a few weeks of living in shelters and doorways, she became desperate and brought her children out here. Apparently, a farmer dropped them off on the road, and they hiked the rest of the way, never seen again. 16 more people over the years have vanished after going into this place, Sasha said, the enjoyment gone from her voice. Ricky makes 20. A breeze turned cold on the back of his neck, sending a shudder down his spine. And you two believe this? They both nodded. Why would you party here if this place scares you so much? Both shrugged. He stepped forward, determined to see for himself, but he turned back when he realized that neither one of them had moved an inch. You coming? There's no way in hell we're going in there, Sasha said, her face grave. Patrick just shook his head no. Fine, I'll be out in a few minutes. Walking up the steps, he tried to control his shaking hands. Reaching the top step, he looked back at them, stand side by side watching him. Hey, did Ricky believe all this God inside the house stuff? Yeah, Sasha answered. He did. Then why the hell did he go in there? She shrugged again. I guess he felt unwanted. A knot of wood exploded in the flames as the flames began to chew through the fresh kindling added to the fire. The bright embers floated into the night sky to join the cluster of stars hanging above, looking down at the small group of friends, like watchful parents keeping an eye on rowdy children. Yep, Ricky thought as he watched two boys from the homeroom slip into the shadows. That's what we are, rowdy children. The orange glow from the fire pit danced over the front of the building, making the windows dark pits. The years of grime had seeped into the grain of the vertical slats, appeared to shift and move like insects fleeing from a hive. Ricky did not know what anyone else saw when they looked at the building. Maybe he would find out if he bothered to ask, but he wouldn't. What he saw was a skull staring back at him. Whatever they saw was for them. He listened to the noise of conversations without much interest. Groups to the left and to the right, the conversations mixed in with the chirps of the nighttime crickets and the buzz of cicadas. The two girls next to him were fully engaged in the drama of their lives, hoping to share it with each other, to shift the burden each carried onto each other before their spines bowed and their spirits broke from the weight. He handed the girl on his right, a redhead with bubblegum lips, his drink and walked towards the front steps of the house. As his foot hit the first slanted step, the night fell into silence. Turning back, he saw them all staring at him. This is why we're here, he thought. Every weekend, away from the shopping malls, the school pep rallies, the basements in our parents' homes, we walk the path through the woods to stand here, in the front of our adopted temple, waiting to be called by our nameless God. The place that so many of the lost had walked into looking for their own answer. None of them received it. This is the only place where we belong, Ricky thought. And baby, I'm being called. Hey, Ricky, a tall kid whose name was lost to Ricky said. Where are you going? A smile spread across his pale lips. The world hushed as the night waited on still breath for his answer. I'm going inside to see the man. And that's it.
That was pretty powerful.
Thank you. You want the rest? Available on Amazon. And please buy and leave a review, please.
Authors who want people to read their work. This is a good idea. I like it. We should definitely do more of that. John, make a note. That should definitely be there. You should also unmute Mr. Frater because you are still muted.
Or they could come out on Saturday, John, right?
Yep.
All right. Yes, I made the note. It's there. It's all good.
Come out where on Saturday?
There's a nice little bookstore in Sayville on Long Island called Tiny Raccoon Books. We will be doing a book event there at 7:00. I will be doing a reading followed by a Q&A with Mr. Jim Chambers, and then another reading afterwards. I'm hoping to sell some books, take some pictures, cause a little chaos, and more
Be
important,
generally creepy.
yeah, be creepy and get the book into some hands.
Very, very good.
Thank you.
I remember watching you do your Leeds Point horror reading at Shade Barn. I really enjoyed that, and I'm glad that you're doing some new stuff. It's really exciting that you got new stuff out.
Thank you.
I guess it means we should pivot to Jim and Abandoned Asylum, which we've now teased but not let him talk about.
Yeah, so Abandoned Asylum is an all-new horror anthology that I edited and also took photographs that will be included in the book. So this project goes back, no joke, about 30 years. When I discovered the Kings Park Psychiatric Center on Long Island in Kings Park, and it's now Nissaquag River State Park, and it's an abandoned psychiatric hospital that was built first in 1885 to handle overflow from hospitals in Brooklyn. And it's so old, this was before Brooklyn was even officially part of New York City. And it has been there ever since. It's one of these sprawling campuses where it was somewhat self-sufficient. They farmed, they generated their own electricity, they did all this stuff. It was kind of like a mini village, and it has just been left to rot and decay over the decades. And when I discovered it in the mid-90s, I started taking pictures there and have been going back many times over the years to take more pictures and hike. It happens to be in a really scenic location where the Nisqually River lets out into the Long Island Sound. And so you can hike in the woods, you can actually go down bluffs to a beach, or you can walk past the large, sprawling, abandoned brick buildings with broken windows and odd sounds coming out of them, and all sorts of signs of inappropriate habitation inside.
Very cool.
So I got to the point where I had so many pictures, I thought, well, it'd be great to have stories to go with these, but I didn't want to write all the stories. So I did this anthology, which will include 19 work from 19 authors and poets. We have some poetry in it, and about 50 or so of my photographs. And it's on Kickstarter now. You might have guessed by the little button behind me that says "Fund us on Kickstarter." We're in our last week, so
hit the minimum yet, or
we have not. No, we're getting there. It's going up, but if anyone hearing this likes abandoned horror, abandoned asylums, asylum horror, all that cool stuff, please give it a look and consider backing us so that we can get this book out. And the main reason that we're doing the Kickstarter is because I really want to do a 4-color hardcover edition.
Yeah.
And 4-color and hardcover are two things that are expensive, especially for independent presses. And Raw Dog Screaming Press is one of the best independent presses I work with. They've been around for over 20 years, have published absolutely amazing stuff, amazing authors, and they're that rare publisher who's willing to look at a project like this and then just run with the whole concept.
Yeah. It's good when you find people who want to move in the same direction that you do. It's very exciting. I love that energy.
Yeah.
So who's in the anthology? Can you name a few names?
Well, let's see. Yes. We've got quite a few. Well, they're all outstanding writers, and some of the most, recognizable names would be Clay McLeod Chapman, Lisa Morton, Elizabeth Massey, Craig DeLuey, John Palisano, Jamal Hodge, Brian W. Matthews, and I'm not forgetting. I'm just stumbling because I wasn't prepared to list all the names. But
yeah, you don't have to list all the names. They're on the Kickstarter, and people can click that and find out.
Yes. Oh, Mercedes M. Yardley, Liam Burke. See, now they come to me.
There you go. So, James,
for the record, for the record, we're backers.
Yeah.
Today.
Thank you.
We are actually fans of some of those people, even the James Chambers guy.
That's kind of the other element I forgot to mention is there's a whole sort of meta aspect to the book because I wrote a narrative framing sequence for all the stories. And when the book is finally published and people read it, there's layers to the whole thing that it adds.
Very cool. Can we get you to read a little something for us?
Of course. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to read the introduction, which is called A Report on What Remains of St. John Land Hospital. And this is the piece that introduces all of the stories and photographs and narratives in Abandoned Asylum. March 29th, from the Office of Bureau Consulting, LLC, Nicksport, New York. To Ms. Redacted, St. John Land Hospital. Ms. Redacted. And I'll tell you now, there's a lot of names redacted in this, so I might just speed by some of them. It is with great relief that I submit to you my final findings regarding the buildings and grounds of the former St. John Land Hospital on Long Island, New York. I hope you find them satisfactory and thorough. While I remain available to answer questions or provide context for the materials presented here for the remainder of our contract term, under no circumstances shall I return to this location to conduct further research. I now conclude 18 months of the most difficult and unusual work of my career, having fulfilled all contractual obligations as follows. Commission and oversee a standard land survey and geological assessment of the grounds of the former St. John Land Hospital, completed and closed. Compile a chronology of St. John Land Hospital's founding, construction, administration, history, and closing, completed and enclosed. Assemble a representative selection of official documents such as bills of lading, blueprints, budgets, employment contracts, patient records, records of agricultural output, shipping invoices, utilities, bills, and other materials pertinent to the day-to-day administration of the facility, completed and enclosed. Execute no fewer than 60 visits for the purpose of taking photographs, documenting the state of the buildings and the grounds, and noting anomalies and other points of interest, to be accompanied on no less than 80% of these visits by Dr. Redacted, Madame Redacted, and/or Senor Redacted, completed. Distribute artifacts, documents, and photographs from the site to people identified by Senor, Doctor, and Madame under the guise of commissioning works of fiction for an anthology of horror stories, to be paid for their work from the provided expense fund, completed, enclosed, annotated as instructed. Assess the latent liminality, nexus potential, and reality mechanics of the grounds, using the insights, observations, procedures, and rituals conducted and provided by Dr., Madame, and/or Senor, according to the Yunt's Forte Survey Measurement System and the Hodgson Outer Energy Scale. Completed, findings enclosed. The only open portion of our contract remains the 2-week period during which I stand by for any follow-up inquiries from you or your agents. If you have questions, I request that you deliver them to me yourself or through any intermediary other than Dr., Madame, or Senor, whose presences I now find intolerable. I do not know what you ultimately seek from this report. The grounds and ruins of St. John Land seethe with an unhealthy, unwelcoming atmosphere. Every visit there drained me emotionally, mentally, and physically, sometimes to the point of needing hours to recover. The times I visited with Dr., Madame, and Senor, the enervating effects doubled. I am certain that I hallucinated during some of those visits, either due to the suggestive nature of the grounds or a trick of the mind played by your so-called experts. Doctor, with his laser levels, theodolites, and the redacted machine, an utterly horrible device I would joyfully smash to pieces at the first opportunity. Madame, whose psychic impressions often left me chilled to the bone, and Senor, with his dowsing rods and rune stones. I trust none of them, nor should you, but I suspect you hired them precisely for the leverage their untrustworthiness and stained pasts provide you. As for my impressions of St. John Land, the place bristles with a sense of lost hope. Founded in 1885 to alleviate overcrowded and awful conditions in the asylums of Brooklyn, aka Kings County, before it became a borough of New York City in 1898, St. John Land comprised a sprawling, self-sufficient farm community, bordered on the east by the Nesquequake River, to the north by bluffs overlooking the Long Island Sound, and by woodlands and rural communities to the west and south. At times, patients worked the farm and staffed the facilities as an aspect of their treatment. Medical and support staff lived there full-time. Mid-20th century, the hospital became a treatment center for sleeping kids, children afflicted with Klein-Levin, aka Sleeping Beauty syndrome, characterized by bouts of hypersomnia and known to deeply affect behavior and emotional states. The community and hospital remained dedicated to mental hygiene and operated until 1996, shortly before the end of the 20th century, when New York State shuttered its doors, purportedly for budgetary reasons, abandoning the grounds. Today, the buildings still stand, crumbling, broken, and haunted by history, part of a little-visited state park. Fenced off and neglected for 3 decades, St. John Land exemplifies the kind of place people wish they could forget, a feat made impossible by its infamous Building 93, which looms above the tree line like a cenotaph. Signs of activity I witnessed during visits include graffiti, broken window glass, boarded up doors and windows ripped open, discarded alcohol containers, clothes, and condoms, remnants of cook fires, moldy mattresses, broken chairs, filing cabinets, sinks, toilets, and other furniture, and every other sign of raiding and vandalism one might imagine. I never met any of the homeless population rumored to dwell there, nor encountered any open sign of activity by local gangs reputed to hide out and dispose of bodies in the buildings. However, strange sounds often drifted from the upper floors, and malleable shadows, whether caused by accumulated grit and grime, tricks of the light, or the presence of hidden watchers, hinted at unseen presences. Most troubling, though, proved the sense of impermanence that pervaded my experiences on the grounds, and especially in the buildings. Despite explicable changes, such as the removal of graffiti by unknown hands, or the addition of new graffiti, changes in the litter strewn within hallways and rooms of compromised buildings and signs of weather damage, I experienced an overall unreliability at the place. Trails I hiked 6 or 7 times before suddenly presented a new fork or loop. The number of panes in an oversized window numbered 12 during one visit, but 16 on the next. The number of doors at ground level for Building 93 numbered 14 on most visits, but 22 on at least 4 occasions. Dormitory halls we visited multiple times led to 6 rooms or 8, depending on the day. Entrances and exits did not consistently adjoin the same exterior and interior location. Natural changes in terrain, such as masses of dead overgrowth blown about by the wind to expose previously hidden features, might explain some of these irregularities, but not all. I suspect you hoped for me to find and document this exact occurrence. See the annotated map enclosed. Make no mistake, Ms. Redacted. By delivering the report you commissioned and fulfilling my contract, I shuck a great weight from my shoulders and my conscience. My sleep, troubled by nightmares for the 18-month duration of my employment with you, already leans toward normalcy once again. You have paid me exorbitantly for this work, and I have earned every cent of it. Please understand that when the 2-week follow-up period ends, you will no longer be able to reach me by any means. At midnight on April 6th, I will block your cell number and email. Any physical mail or packages from you will be returned unopened. I will refuse to open my door for any representative of yours who knocks upon it. No further payment of any amount from your massive fortune shall persuade me otherwise. I wish I could offer you the best in your future endeavors, but I fear that your achievement of any goals or objectives related to St. John Land cannot but bring more darkness into the world, so I will refrain. Until midnight on April 6th, yours truly, Enrico Biro, CEO, Biro Consulting.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So what you're saying is there's a job opening.
Yes, for a brave or foolhardy soul.
It's a tough economy, and I have to pay off a lot of Kickstarters I've backed. It's not out of the question.
Also, 2 things can be true at the same time, so you could be brave and foolhardy.
This is true.
Yes. John Kovalak, who does Dork Tower and did the artwork for Munchkin, had a comic one time that has him looking down at his phone, and he says, "Oh, this Kickstarter didn't fund. I can afford lunch today." So yes, it becomes like that TBR pile. It's a thing we start collecting as a completely separate hobby from other things.
Yeah.
But no, it's an excellent collection. You had me at hypersomnia. This is a thing I wish I could experience. And it sounds kind of nice.
Yeah. So it should be fun. And I this is the first project of mine that I have done as a Kickstarter backed effort. I have backed many Kickstarter projects. I love backing good stuff on Kickstarter. And it's really, what I like best is I'll back it, it'll fund, I'll forget about it. And like 18 months later, something will show up at my house and I'm like, oh, what's this? It's like, wow, surprise. I got this book that I backed 1.5 years ago. But ours actually is done and will come out within a few months of the campaign.
Excellent. Yeah,
Nice.
Reasonable time frames for delivery has become a very big issue for Kickstarter. I'm glad you guys have that addressed. I know you're working with top flight people, so this is going to go the way that it needs to go.
Yeah.
That's really exciting. So, Mr. Collins, sir, what do you have coming up next now that you got this book out? What's your next thing coming?
Excuse me. Well, I'm working on my current work in progress. It's gonna be my first novel. It currently is fighting me a little bit, but that's fine. I knew it wasn't going to be something that was going to be easy to write. but it's I don't know how to say it. I'll say it the way I'll say how it started. What
Yeah.
I kind of had in mind, what it evolved to. I pictured something along the lines of "Hills Have Eyes," Peyton Place, and the fun parts of Deliverance. And it's changed quite a bit.
That last part scares me because I wonder what you consider the fun part.
Jim said the
There
exact
was
same
that.
thing. Jim said
Even the banjos.
I fear it's not a banjo contest.
So that's what I'm working on now.
James, if you get yourself out from under this, what's next?
Oh, what's next that I can actually talk about? Yeah. Well, hopefully a little bit of that hypersomnia at some point. But I have a story coming out in an anthology called Shards of Gotham, edited by Jamal Hodge. It'll be published next year. And I have a novella that should be out, I think, late next year, but that has not been announced yet. And yeah. And other stuff that I'll share when it's actually far enough along. I've been working on this comic book project for, it seems like, forever, but it's making slow if steady progress. So hopefully that'll be out later this year too.
So John Frater, what about you? You got stuff coming?
I've got stuff coming. I do not feel comfortable discussing it today.
My
Maybe
lawyer
next time.
advises me the same way. Yeah.
Yeah, next time, because the contract is signed. I don't know what the publication date is, and until I do know what the publication date is, I'm not going to talk. So
I understand that completely. I just had a new Western drop today, which was Theo Star, Sundown, and High Noon. I have a new one dropping in July, which is going to be Blood River Trials. I'm writing the one for August right now. I like to keep busy. I have a science fiction book called Seventh Generation Arrival, which is scheduled sometime between here and March with Nightmare Press. I have something I'm submitting to Ruiden Books that I was able to get Richard to laugh when I described it, so I have a shot at him taking it. We'll see how that goes. It's fairly dark for something that got him to laugh, so we'll see. I had a conversation with somebody else at Stoker that hopefully is turning into something, and of course, the duel. And since I mentioned it, that's the riffraff bit. That's my friend Jen Delson on the other side, who I went to Rocky Horror at Studio 54 with.
Very cool.
Nice.
Very cool.
And, with that, I'm going to bring in Danny to finish us up.
And that's our show. If you are horror adjacent in books, comics, film, streaming, and want to be on the Horror Words podcast, email drownedrat@horrorwords.com. Good night.